What's going on, everyone? Eric here. Hope you're all doing good today. In this video, we're going to be talking about Casabrews' newest machine, the 5418 Pro, 5418 Pro. This is a pretty exciting little machine that kind of is a new rival for the Bambino. And we're going to get into that in a second. Before we do that, please, if you like this video, give me a second, give me that thumbs up. If you have time, leave me a little comment. And if anything I talk about in this video interests you and you're thinking about buying anything, accessories, etc., affiliate links down below. I earn a little bit of commission and that pays for the channel. Anyway, let's get started. My espresso shot, my little espresso shot. So let's first talk about how this machine stands out. The number one thing is that it is tiny. It is just about 1 foot tall, just about 12 inches exactly tall. It is 11.5 inches deep. It is just under 5 inches wide, and it has just a compact, low profile that is good for small kitchens and people who want an espresso machine that doesn't take up a lot of room. So it has about 5.5 inches of clearance between the group head and the drip tray. That will give you about 4 inches of clearance if you use the included portafilter basket, and about 4.5 inches of clearance if you're using a bottomless aftermarket portafilter. The next way this machine stands out is that it is fast. It is one of the first machines that I have found that rivals the Breville line in its speed. So once you turn it on, it's a 5-second heat up time, and that's it. It's hot, it's ready to go. It also only takes 3 seconds to switch, 3 seconds to switch between espresso mode and steaming mode. So once you click steam mode, basically it's ready to go as soon as you flush out your steam wand. I will also mention that the steam wand itself is very fast. It heats about 6 ounces of milk, which is about more than enough milk for a cappuccino, a little less milk for a standard latte, in about 45 seconds, and that's getting it nice and hot. And it is a smooth steam wand, so I'm really satisfied with its performance. So overall, fast, powerful, pretty stunning little performance from this tiny guy. I'm gonna get a little bit more into the heating performance of this machine in the second half of the video on how that all works when I get more technical. The next way that it stands out is the price. I'm pretty sure they're going to be selling this thing for less than $200. It seems like at this point the price is not very firm, but right now what I've seen, what they're posting it for, it's less than $200, and when comparing that to a machine that has a similar performance like the Breville Bambino, which retails for $300, it is a tremendous value. Okay, let's get into features. The first one is that it has an analog pressure gauge, so you're going to be able to see on this little dial here how your espresso is running. Now that is pressure at the pump, not pressure at the portafilter, and you know, that's a little bit of a difference as far if you're a nerd and you want to get into that stuff, but it is nice to have a visual feedback, and if you're using a pressurized filter, it is good to see that you are in the espresso zone. The next feature is that it has programmable shot volumes, so you're going to be able to program your shots based on how much liquid you want to come out. It also has pre-programmed pre-infusion, which is it's going to pulse a little bit of water in there, wait 5 seconds, and then apply full pressure. That allows your coffee to get saturated, allows it to bloom, allows it to degas a little bit, and just gives you a better espresso, trust me. So it has a 20 bar pump in here. That's a very strong pump. You're not gonna really need that much pressure to make espresso, but it is capable of that, but we're gonna try to keep our pressure between 8 and 12 bars ideally. But yeah, 20 bar pump, so good strong pump in here. Another feature of this machine is that it does dispense hot water out of the steam wand. If you keep it in brewing mode and open up the steam wand, it will release hot water so you can make Americanos, etc. Let's talk about the included accessories really quick. What you get is the machine, of course. The included portafilter is 51 millimeters and has 3 ears. And you get 2 baskets. Both are pressurized baskets, a 2-cup and a 1-cup. I'll get into that in 1 second. You get a little pokey tool in case your pressurized basket gets clogged, which they sometimes do. And you also have a little pokey tool here in case you need to, you have a little pokey tool here for cleaning out your steam wand. You also get a scoop and a little plastic tamper. So let's talk a little bit about this portafilter. It is very lightweight. It is definitely a very beginner one. They've done a new system that I haven't seen yet on other espresso machines. Instead of having a spring basket in here, which a lot of people who are new to making espresso don't like because it's really hard to get the basket out, what they have is a little nub on the side of the basket, and then there's a little divot in the portafilter. You line those up and then you turn it, and then it's secured in there. Now, me, as someone who's worked in coffee and tested espresso machines, I don't love that, but I think that if you are new and you're you don't like having to pry out those portafilter baskets, you might like this. Anyway, the actual portafilter itself, it's got a good heft to it, but it does feel very lightweight, very cheap, and there is a lot of plastic on the inside. You can probably just pop that plastic out if you want, just by taking this screw out here. Though the plastic just creates a little bit more agitation, keeps your espresso from getting cold, and gives you more crema when you're working with a pressurized portafilter. What is not included is a steaming pitcher. You will have to pick up a steaming pitcher on your own. You can grab one of those for less than 15 bucks, so that's no big deal. Really quick, let's talk about the pressurized baskets. So pressurized baskets are kind of the cheat code, the easy mode for espresso. I call this beginner mode. What it does is this is not designed for working with super finely ground espresso, powder-like espresso. Like when you are using a pressurized basket, it's usually designed for when you buy pre-ground espresso at a grocery store. There's a difference between pre-ground coffee and pre-ground espresso. Pre-ground espresso is a little bit finer. It's the kind of fineness that you would use for a mocha pot. And what these guys do is, because it's not super, super fine, it creates a little bit more pressure in here, builds up that pressure, and gives you an espresso-like drink that is gonna have crema on it, and it's a really, really easy way to make espresso-style drinks at home. So these are perfectly fine for getting into the espresso world when you want to start learning about espresso or start making espresso at home. So as it comes out of the box, as it is right now, this is a great machine for somebody who wants to get into espresso at home, wants to quit their drive-through habit. Basically, for anyone who wants to drink espresso but doesn't want to drink it straight and likes to add a lot of milk. This is a great machine to get your foot in the door, make it easy, very simple, very approachable. So if you're into iced lattes, you want to make iced vanilla lattes at home, want to make iced mochas at home, this will give you the espresso for that purpose. And I gotta say, it'll be great. I have a little video about how to make an iced latte linked somewhere up here. So one more thing to note is that if you are running this with pre-ground espresso, you will probably find that the basket and the grinds get pretty messy. So you are going to probably want to, once you do knock that out, you're probably going to want to rinse this out every time. It's just going to be easier to clean than wiping it out. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is this heating system, this advanced heating system that Casabrews has developed. And now, Casabrews has a lot of espresso machines out there, and it seems like they're really trying to scramble and find their footing in this kind of flooded espresso market. And as far as I know, they are really the first company to kind of catch up to Breville as far as advanced heating systems go. So that flash quick heating system, there's pretty much nothing out there besides the Breville Bambinos and the Breville Pro series that heats up so fast. They call it the jet system at Breville. This is Casabrews' fast heating system. You can call it CasaJet if you want. But anyway, they are the first people to kind of catch up to that level. So that is pretty exciting. So this flash heating system, this thermojet system that heats things up really, really quickly is made out of a stainless steel and glass plate. It heats up very, very fast, but it also has a safety mechanism in there that will stop it within 0.2 seconds if it does overheat. And those construction materials a lot of people will like, because people don't like hearing that the heating system is aluminum. Okay, so next we're gonna talk about how does it run in advanced mode, or how does it run when making real espresso. And I'm happy to say it runs pretty good. So what I did to test out this system is I got a few aftermarket parts. I got a cheap bottomless portafilter. I got the IMS Precision basket here. So that is a, baskets, whether or not every single little tiny hole in there is exactly the same size, that does make a difference for your espresso. That will give you more consistent and better espresso. Another video about that linked up here somewhere. Anyway, so cheap portafilter, nice basket, and of course I got a better tamper than the plastic one. I got this little palm tamper and groomer thing for breaking up clumps in the espresso and making sure that everything is even so water flows through it evenly. I had a little WD-T tool to break those clumps up. Of course, I used a scale to weigh everything out, weigh out my beans before, and then weigh out my shots as I run them. This will keep your recipe consistent and also make sure that your espresso tastes the same every time, because the best way to measure is with weight. And of course I used an espresso grinder capable of making true espresso grind. That'll probably be the most expensive thing you can upgrade on any espresso system. Grinders are very, very important, and that's how you basically control the main flavors of your espresso. So the pressure gauge itself, the way that the indicators are set up on here where it says espresso and has different bars, the espresso zone is more set up for the pressurized basket. If you're doing true espresso with a finely ground coffee, you will find that your gauge is going to get up more towards the 12 bars area, and that's perfectly fine. my espresso ran great around there. So all that to be said, after using these accessories and testing many shots, the espresso was great, consistently good, no complaints, just plain, straight, easy to use, good espresso. So it is a very capable machine. With other machines that are in this price range and that are targeting beginners that use pressurized baskets, etc., what will happen is if you release your portafilter too early, if you don't let it sit there for a minute after you pull your shots, you're going to get a big mess and water and espresso grinder are going to pop out everywhere. This guy you can pop out basically right away and there is no problem. It does have a very wet puck and you're going to find that there's a lot of water on top of your puck. My workflow that I found works best for me is after I release the portafilter, I'll dump out that excess water and then I'll knock out my puck, and that just worked really well. There's plenty of room in this drip tray. Another thing I noticed is that you're going to want to cut off your shot about 5 grams or so before you hit your target weight, because the espresso is going to continue to flow for another 5 to 7 grams or so. So that is something to look out for. And if you're being really precise, you might want to yank your cup out or your scale out from under there just to hit that target. Like I said, the shots were great, no problems. It's a machine that works well and works fast, and those are its strengths. It's not overcomplicated, it just does a good job. Now getting into the steaming performance of the machine, that is one of the main things about this machine. The steaming is great. It is fast. Switching to the mode takes 3 seconds. Like I said at the top of the video, you can do 6 ounces of milk in 45 seconds or maybe a little bit less. You're going to get great texture. The steaming is smooth, and if you want to practice latte art, this is a great machine to do it with. Another nice thing about this steam wand is that it doesn't get the milk really baked on there much, so that's nice. A lot of espresso machines really get milk kind of seared onto the wand. That doesn't happen with this, and still, you're going to want to wipe it off and flush it out right after, all right? It gets very hot. You're going to still want to use the silicone grip for moving it around. Oh, and just like a little preference thing, you can aim the steam wand over the drip tray so that if you want to flush it out, it will be over the drip tray, which is nice. One more cool thing about the steam wand is that it cuts off immediately. When you turn off the steam wand, it just cuts off, which is good, because other machines that give a similar performance, like the Bambino, they take about 5 seconds to actually cut off the steaming power once you turn it off. This is just off and it's done. I like that because I like to know when I'm done steaming that the machine is done steaming too. So quick note on temperature stability. Clearly I'm shooting this at a different time because things are a little bit out of order, but temperature stability, I just did a bunch of tests. I used a probe thermometer here and I had it put it inside of the pressurized basket. So I'm not going to get an accurate number of the actual temperature because this is not designed for taking temperatures on espresso machines. There's a whole device. It's a challenge to get an accurate temperature on an espresso machine using a probe. But anyway, what I can tell you from my testing, what I can get from the testing is I can tell you the temperature variance. So anyway, I found that the temperature stayed within 4 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, that's not the precision someone would want from a higher end machine, but it is, I think, good enough. 4 degrees Fahrenheit variance, I think, is good enough for your average coffee maker. And I think that the big takeaway from this is that what I would do is I would run shot, run another shot, run another shot, did that. That was still all, within 2 degrees Fahrenheit variance. Or I would let it sit for a minute and then run another shot, still stayed within those 2 degrees. If I was running them back to back with no rest, it would get a little hotter, up to 4 degrees Fahrenheit hotter. But here's the cool thing. So switching over to the steam mode, the quick steam mode switch, 3-second steam moding, run the steamer for a full minute, turn it off, went right to running a shot, still stayed within that 4 degrees Fahrenheit variance. And I did that several times. Steam wand, switch it right over to brew right then and there. It did not make a huge temperature spike for the brew temperature. So the takeaway is that rapid switch between steaming and brewing doesn't have a huge effect on the temperature of the brew. You don't have to flush out after steaming. That is super cool. So who is this machine for? Like I said, this is the perfect machine for beginners, people who want to get into espresso, especially people who want to make iced lattes, iced flavored drinks. It's just so simple, so easy, so consistent, no problems. It's not challenging at all, and you're going to be able to make great espresso style drinks with the pressurized baskets that are included, and that's that. The other people that I would recommend this machine to are people who are latte art buffs but don't want to blow a huge budget on the actual espresso machine. They want a high-performing steam wand, they want to practice latte art, but they want to save their budget for the grinder, etc. So you buy this machine, you get a grinder, and you get a couple accessories. You can practice your latte art, and it won't be annoying because it's very, very quick, very, very powerful. And the actual steam wand, because of the flash heating system, it's just unlimited steam power. It's just going to steam and steam and steam until the water tank is empty. So that's really, really good. Honestly, I might even venture to say that this is the best steam wand in the sub $300 price range, maybe even higher than that. This is just steam power on this and the steam performance on this are great and rivals most every machine that I've tested in the $500 and below price range. Finally, I would recommend this machine to anyone who wants to start simple and thinks that they might get curious about advancing espresso as time goes on. So you can start off with this machine, start off with it stock, using the pressurized baskets, and then you can add things on bit by bit as you grow. So like you might get an espresso grinder first, and then you might get a non-pressurized basket, you might add on the scale, you might add on different things. But if you want to move at your own pace and move slowly, and you know you're the kind of person who really will pursue this as a hobby, I think that this is a great machine to go by. It's certainly a great machine for someone who wants to start off as a beginner and move on to true espresso, but doesn't want to get overwhelmed with too many different settings and too many bells and whistles. So all in all, this new machine from Casabrews is hardworking, fast, consistent, and a great value. Really not much else to say about that, but yeah, I'm impressed. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your time. Look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye. Oh, and if you noticed my super cool and beautiful cutting board, this is made by a friend of mine who does a really lot of cool things with wood, and I will link his Etsy shop down below, so check it out if you're interested. My espresso shop, my little espresso shop.